And
Woo!
we are live.
Yay!
Oh, you've got your purple scarf on. Oh, I love that, Guy. That's fantastic. Thank you.
My
I'm
purple
honoured.
shirt was in the washer, in the
Oh,
laundry.
yeah.
So I found this.
It looks good to me.
I
I
had to,
like
I had to match your purple couch a little bit, or sofa, or
it.
lounge.
Thank you so much. I'm flattered. I love that that you've done that. Thank you. So I need to welcome you to the B2B Live Lounge / the
Woo!
Purple Sofa or couch, whatever you call it. So, ladies and gentlemen, my esteemed guest this week on the B2B Live Lounge is the one and only, and I do hope I didn't check that I pronounce your surname correctly, Guy Strybosch.
Yes.
And we always have to make sure that we say Guy because, of course, over here in the UK we say Guy, and I do have a brother called Guy, so I be very careful that I call you Guy and not Guy. So welcome.
Put it in the audio.
Yes, no, exactly. I did listen to it, obviously, and that's a very good starting point. Actually, the audio on LinkedIn is a really valuable tool, isn't it?
It is. It is. And I mean, my name is short, and my brother is called Yves. We do all have French names because my mother was from Paris, but my sister is called Marie Françoise. So that's not an easy name to pronounce. And here in the Netherlands, Guy, they call it Key or Guy or Gay or.
Yeah.
I'm a gay person. I'm a happy person. And Guy, that's it. So happy to be here.
I'm happy that you're here too, Guy. And so introducing you as crikey, many years you've been doing LinkedIn training internationally, and you were just telling me some of the countries that you've traveled to. Let's reel them off. Where have you been?
Japan.
Nice.
Been a tour guide in Vietnam. Worked on a cruise ship from the Netherlands to Indonesia. Canada, Israel. I've been around.
You've been around and taking your LinkedIn knowledge all over the place as well.
That came a bit later.
Yeah. Yes, of course. But what's interesting is, and I found this out because I follow you on LinkedIn, that you're also a member of an multinational in-person networking group called BNI, which many people who are listening or watching will know what BNI is. And I'm also a member of BNI, quite a new member. I've only been a member a year. And, it's, to me, the connection that you make in person with somebody and the connection you make on LinkedIn are both really valuable. So I'm intrigued as to how you see the two complementing each other.
Yeah. Well, BNI, I was at a conference last week in Ghent, in Belgium. When I started my LinkedIn career, so to speak, it started back in 2009 when I was a marketing manager for a global multinational, and they were active in supply chain and packaging and also within automotive. And one of my colleagues mentioned LinkedIn at the time. And when I started my journey on LinkedIn, I got connected with General Motors, big companies, high-level C-suite persons. So that was the online world. But when they moved headquarters to the other side of the Netherlands, the part I came from, I didn't want to move with them. So I started my own company. And then I didn't have a local network or a regional network. And I think it was a couple of weeks later, I bumped into the national director here in the Netherlands. And he told me about BNI. And it was like a puzzle. I mean, connecting is in my DNA. I told you my mother came from Paris, my grandmother came from Belgium, and my grandfather came from Hungary, Budapest. So I've been always been working on connecting people, curious of nature, wondering about your story. Um, and then BNI was, for me, exactly the same, connecting people. And what happened afterwards was well, that was their activity. But I love to bring people together. And as I told many times to friends, when my parents still lived, we started Christmas at 3 in the afternoon, and we finished at 3 midnight at a dinner table with a good glass of wine. So it's always about people, I guess.
Yeah, I love that. Absolutely love that. And too many people forget that, I think, on LinkedIn and actually in-person networking. And they think it's about themselves, but it's actually not, is it? It's about the others
It's not
around you.
about exactly, and it's so much easier to sell someone else than to sell yourself
Oh
or
yeah.
to talk about yourself.
Yeah, really good point. Actually, that's a very valid point. Um, and I think also when you're connecting people, they're always very grateful. So there's this whole reciprocal thing going on in the back of their mind psychologically that you've helped them. So at some point, they'll help you as well.
Yeah. And about BNI, Sarah, my first year, well, I became a director consultant at the start. So I changed things in life. I have a different order. And at that time, BNI the Netherlands was still a franchise part of the UK. So I had to go to the UK to do my training with Phil Burke and Charlie Lawson at the time. And I went to London straight away to meet the national director from the Netherlands. And we had a drink, we had dinner. And at the time when I came to my B&B, it was closed. And there
Oh,
was a phone number, but they didn't answer. So I ended up, my first BNI experience was sleeping in the at the bathroom floor of another B&B.
you're never going to forget that one, are you?
No, no. Talking about hospitality.
Absolutely. Well, how kind of somebody to let you sleep on their bathroom floor. Somebody
Yeah.
you probably didn't know very well at all.
Well, it was in the B&B of the other BNI
Yeah.
members. So yeah, that was fun. That was fun.
Oh, that's fun. I love that. And it sort of brings me to another thing that I love about the way that everybody connects on LinkedIn, or the people that are using LinkedIn what we call the right way, is how we all help each other, don't we? I mean, effectively, you and I are competitors because we're both training companies and people how to use LinkedIn, but we're helping each other and we're chatting together, and I love that about LinkedIn. And is that something that you've seen evolve over time, or has it always been like that?
Sarah, I've never understood the word competitor. I mean, we're 1 billion LinkedIn members,
Mm.
have 67 million plus companies registered on LinkedIn. So I don't know how many LinkedIn trainers there are in the world, but there's enough work. And beside that, I guess you also are. Well, some of us are in a niche or a niche. I don't know what the British pronunciation is, but I mean, I work a lot with international companies, active within supply chain packaging, um, and other people work with, I don't know, with government companies or with non-profit organizations. So there's so much work to be done for all of us, and every day I still see there's things to be can be improved. So there's work for all of us.
Yeah.
So don't call us competitors. We're
No,
friends.
we're not. We're friends. Absolutely. We absolutely are friends. And I love the way on LinkedIn that we share information, we help each other and comment on each other's posts. And I think Mick Adam had posted a testimonial about you this week or
Yep,
last week.
he did.
And the wonderful Mick, who we love, who is coming on this show. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, he is. He's
Hey,
all
Mick.
booked.
See you tomorrow.
And Mick's been really helpful to me lately with my book. He's been supporting me with that, which is incredible. And it's just it's just such a gift, I think, to have to be in an organization or a group or whatever it is, a career, where there's all these wonderfully supportive people around us.
Yeah, and I think you're right, Sarah. I mean, LinkedIn trainers are, well, most of us are quite supportive to each other.
Mm.
And I don't know why. I think it's a matter of liking to give or to share. Or, I mean, my father was a teacher, so sharing knowledge is quite also within my DNA. But sharing with people who do the same, um, I'm quite eager to see what. Well, when Kevin Turner publish or Lanier publish another feature, or I was a beta tester for several company page features. It's always fun to share with each other and to discuss. Have you got it? How does it work? Well, for instance, premium company pages, also a
Yeah,
thing new to some, and perhaps you're in the second wave of rolling out, and perhaps someone else is in, well, fifth wave, whatever.
exactly. Yeah. Yes, indeed. And some, like when the one of the new features on personal profiles is the services section has gone up
Yeah,
the top and it's much bigger, and and I literally went onto LinkedIn, opened up, went, whoa, what's that doing there, and went into a group that I think you're also a member of, and said, hang on, has anybody seen this? And everyone's like, oh, how exciting, let's go and have a look, because we're in different time zones, so
yeah.
some of us will see things before the others. And it's a bit like Christmas sometimes, isn't it? Opening the present. It's like, oh, goody, here's a new thing. And you want to share that with people.
Normally it's fun. It's a bit awkward when it happens during a training, when you think, what's this? It was here, now it's gone.
You're absolutely right. So I was doing a training about, we were using the search option, and I was saying, oh, and you can even look for people by what they talk about on LinkedIn, by their hashtags. And then I look and they're gone. Like, what hashtags am I saying? And you do feel a bit stupid, but at the end of the day, if you don't know, you don't know, do you?
There's only one certainty, and that's change. LinkedIn
Change.
will always change and develop.
There's so many new features, though.
A bit too
I think,
many, I guess.
yeah, and some of them are very small. But one of my bugbears, I'm going to get this out now, Guy, is that LinkedIn don't listen to us, the people. They don't. But wouldn't it be lovely if we could have a forum where LinkedIn actually joined us and said, okay, what do you trainers want?
We do a little bit. And when you heard Kevin also mentioning that in his presentation at Uplift Live. I mean, we have users, members, and we have LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And they serve different purposes, or they chase different purposes. And I guess the reason why we have so many new features is because we have these young engineers. I mean, LinkedIn was sold to Microsoft for $26 billion, I guess, a couple of years ago. So they need to have the return on investment, of course. And these young engineers are always eager to develop new features, but they're not always the features we like or we want or we ask for. I mean, sometimes you get, what's this? I don't need this. And then again, well, here it is.
Yeah, exactly. It would be nice to know that things are coming out in advance, but maybe that would take away the excitement, perhaps. Who knows?
Yeah. And also maybe because it's on the stock market, they can't tell everything, I guess.
No.
They can't show us their complete roadmap. But then again, I am connected to several product directors and engineers. Sometimes they tell you something you're not allowed to tell to others. And then you have these page administrators group where you see some stuff. But yeah, they're not open in their. I mean, in the old days, I'm talking about, well, during COVID with Clubhouse, we had these. How did they call them at Sundays? the two founders went out on an audio, and they
Yes.
lounge room or town hall, I think it
The
was.
town hall. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. They had the town hall and they got, you're right.
it would be fantastic if LinkedIn could do such a thing,
Yeah.
discussing directly with the members and the users about their plans. But well, we'll see if it ever
We'll,
happens.
we'll see indeed. Now, LinkedIn is still very much a B2B platform. It's definitely, there is a B2C element to LinkedIn for sure. There's no question about it. But it's still very much seen as the B2B platform.
Mhm.
And you don't just teach LinkedIn, do you? Because you do business coaching as well and business training. Is that right?
I
And
started
how
out as a business coach, basically.
right? So that was first, and then the LinkedIn came in second.
Yeah, because I had all these questions about LinkedIn from colleagues, from friends, from other professionals. So I started off quite broad, um, and because of all my international sales and marketing experiences, um, I was more of a business coach in the beginning, but it soon became LinkedIn. And I've always worked B2B, so I'm not a fan. I wasn't a fan. I'm still not a fan of X or Twitter at the time, and Facebook. And also, you can't do everything. If you really want to be a specialist or an expert or whatever you want to call it, you have to focus, I guess. So LinkedIn.
Yeah. And do you find, which do you sort of do most of? Is it more the business coaching or is it more the LinkedIn or?
Well, normally the hook, the way I enter within companies is LinkedIn now.
Right.
But
Interesting.
for instance, I'm working with a machine builder in packaging machines, and they build big machines for example, to create a lid for McDonald's. Um, but they don't have a really big marketing department. So I'm asked for all kind of marketing things as well, and with the board of directors, they asked me, okay, can we, um, what's the word in English? Well, can we talk about marketing issues, or can we talk about
Mhm.
the business in itself? So it's broader than just LinkedIn.
Yeah. And I think actually, I was with a group this morning and I was explaining that exactly that when I go in to train people about LinkedIn, it's not just this is how you do your profile, this is how to write a post, and this is how to find people on LinkedIn. It's so much more than that, isn't it? There's branding, there's personal branding, there's company
Yep.
branding, there's communication, there is all kinds of different things that go towards making a successful LinkedIn profile or page or whatever, isn't
Mm.
there?
And don't forget employer branding. I mean, with the struggle of finding good employees, it's important to have a good image or brand, or and with that involved, I mean, you involve all the employees of the company. I mean, in the beginning, marketing was, in the old days, marketing, and perhaps still is to some companies, marketing is thinking about ideas to publish. They write the content, then they publish it, and then they ask their employees and colleagues.
Yeah.
It doesn't work to me, or it doesn't work, I guess. So it's getting LinkedIn, getting the company linked in,
Yes.
instead of linked out.
Yeah.
So um, it's more of a mindset, I guess, for the whole company to be involved, and not
Agree.
having just a CV on LinkedIn.
Exactly. And this is a big part of what I'm doing with companies is helping LinkedIn become part of the culture of
Yeah.
the company. And actually, what's really interesting, um, when it happens and when you see it happening in the right way, yes, of course, it generates more leads, it generates huge brand awareness for the company because you've got these employees going out as themselves, but as I always say, they're wearing a company hat, so that they're advocates of the company, but they're still themselves and being very much their own personalities. And that's a great thing to see happening on LinkedIn. But what I see also happening is they become closer as a group, because they've got this place where they're commenting on each other's posts, and they're finding out stuff about each other that they didn't actually know.
But Sarah, tell me and explain me how you do it, because you mentioned in your LinkedIn Live with Annie Foot your bingo. How does that work? I mean, are they playing it? Well, I can imagine they're not keen on playing a game. It's professional, it's business. So how does that work?
Well, okay. So it's the first thing I do when I walk into a room with 20, 30, 40 people. Well, I try not to do more than 30 at a time because it just gets too chaotic. And I'm there standing in front of them trying to explain to the whole company why they should all be on LinkedIn. And I don't like the word should, why it benefits them to be on LinkedIn. And they don't really understand what LinkedIn is. I think a lot of people still think that LinkedIn is a place you pop your CV and you kind of hover around a bit, or if you're looking for a job, you might use LinkedIn. Yeah. But from an employee perspective, they're like, well, I've got a job. I'm really happy in my job. I'm being paid well and I like what I'm doing. Why would I bother with LinkedIn? So I'm trying to tell them that LinkedIn isn't social media, it's networking. And we need to find out about each other. And that's what's important. So I've developed this game of bingo. Okay. And the bingo card is purple and orange. And the questions are things like, so basically the premise is you all have a card each, and you walk around asking everybody the questions. And when somebody answers the question in the positive, you cross them off. And the first person to get them all crossed off is the winner, as per bingo. So they go around the room and they're allowed to ask one person one question. So questions like, see if you can find somebody that went to the same university or school as you did. See if you can find somebody in the room who's passionate about their pet. And actually, that's a very, very valid one, because one of the very first times I did this, it emerged that a lady called Maureen, who worked in the accounts department, who was very, very quiet, had a garage full of reptiles, snakes, lizards, geckos, and that was her thing. But nobody in the company, in the organization, knew this. And this came out in a game of LinkedIn bingo. And she'd been working there for 10 years.
Yeah.
And it really identified the importance of getting to know people beyond just the workplace. And it's a great tool for breaking down the barriers as well, of course, and everybody has a bit of a giggle. But what I love about that is it really opens people's eyes to what LinkedIn really is about.
I use a hashtag sometimes, the human side of LinkedIn. And this is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
People work with people.
Yeah.
And sometimes it matches like we do, purple and orange.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's all about people.
It is. It is.
And then it also, well, we have, of course, the LinkedIn police. You can't write about your personal stuff. When I first came to Brazil, I have a coffee producer there. I worked together with them, and they worked with a LinkedIn trainer, a Brazilian person who had, I think, 90,000 followers or so. But LinkedIn in Brazil was what we call Facebook, very private, very personal, and they ship thousands of containers of coffee to Europe, and they wanted to talk more as and with Europeans in their language, in their culture. But if it's a combination and the balance is okay between personal and business, for me, it's okay. I mean, I don't need to know everything, but I like the human touch. Like Linaire, for instance, with her gardening. If you love gardening, well, you're a fan of Linaire.
Absolutely. And I love the way that Linaire uses her gardening analogies.
Yeah.
Growing plants, growing relationships or whatever, all of those things. And it's great. And it does humanize it. And I think you're right.
People tend to forget that we're humans also.
Yeah.
But I love the bingo part of this lady working there for 10 years and nobody knew about her lizards and snakes and whatever.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I know. And all of a sudden she became the center of attention. Whereas before she was just Maureen in accounts, who nobody really spoke to. And she quite likely had a desk in the corner or a small office or something, because she wasn't customer facing particularly. And she was just sort of on her own. And it was just so lovely to see. And she kind of blossomed in the room and started telling everybody about all of her reptiles. And it was wonderful because I have a gecko. So she and I had lots in common. But yeah, it was really, really sweet, actually. And I have to thank a friend of mine who gave me the idea for that. And she's an actor, and she trains people how to be clowns. And I said to her, can you give me some strategies and some ideas for my workshops? And that was one of the ones she gave. So shout out to Joey Robinson, because she gave me the idea.
I was just going to say, we don't need any training to become a clown.
But I don't know. I can't juggle. I'm not really good at juggling. Well, juggling life, but not juggling.
I had an in-person meeting yesterday with someone, and we talked about hobbies. And all of a sudden, he started about basketball. I used to play basketball for a very long time, very active. So it's all about human things again.
It is. It absolutely is. And the more people that realize that, the better the whole, business experience is for people, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've just looked at the time, and as usual, we are nearly the end of time.
Really?
Honestly, I can't believe how quickly these things go. And this has been really lovely talking to you about being human on LinkedIn, about business strategy and LinkedIn all working together, and how we as LinkedIn trainers all help each other. I've really, really enjoyed this conversation. And I'm now going to ask you the final question, which I know I've asked you to think about. I would love you to give 3 tips that anybody listening to this in the podcast or watching this on the live can take away an action today.
I didn't have to think a long time for this one.
No, I'm sure you didn't.
But if anyone forgets everything we discussed or whatever they have learned over the years, the most important part for me is literally put on the glasses of your customer or your target audience, whatever, and have a look at your profile and lift out each and every part and put it under a magnifying glass. What do they see? Is it added value or is it just a CV? That's 1. 2 is 5-word commenting. I see too many, because posting for a lot of people is difficult. They find it difficult to write, or they want to be perfect, whatever. But commenting strategy is working for a lot of people, and it's much easier than posting. But I use the 5 words for this, because with 5 words you have to think a bit harder than just writing a comment with wonderful, congrats, well done. So you have to think a bit harder.
Yeah.
And a longer comment stands out. And the 3rd one is end your sentence when commenting, not with a dot, with a point, but with a question mark.
I like that.
See, the thread will become a bit longer.
I love that. So 3 tips. Put your glasses on and look at your profile in the eyes of your customer. Absolutely brilliant.
And the fourth one to add, and also for you, Sarah, because I know you became a BNI member. You've put BNI in your profile, but a lot of people, and certainly in my chapter and perhaps in your chapter also, they haven't filled in other activities they're active in. It's the same with the, how do you call it? The pin, the pelvic pin. I put on this one, Legends, BNI
well
Legends.
done, your BNI pin. Oh, I've taken mine off. I had it on this morning.
No, but I don't wear it normally, although I should. But once I see a mutual thing in our profiles, it's easier to connect like that than if you haven't done that, and make your profile complete, basically.
Yeah, that's really good advice, actually, because we look for commonalities, don't we, when we're trying to build a relationship with somebody. And I always say, make it easy for people to connect with you. Don't make it difficult. Put the more stuff you've got there, the easier it is for people to find things to talk about. And that's, as you say quite rightly, it's about people, it's about communicating. So the more people can know about us, the more potential there is to build those relationships.
Last story, Sarah. When my mother came to Amsterdam from Paris in 1959, she went out with my grandmother on a Sunday. And when she came home, she told my father, "Wow, your mother knows a lot of people." And he looked at her and, "How come?" I don't know. "Well, she talks to everyone." He said, "Yeah, she likes to talk." I mean, people talk to people. And if you put out your hand, nobody's going to refuse a hand when it's stretched like that. So reach out to people and stay curious.
Staying curious. Yeah.
Ask questions.
Asking questions is so important. And I do think it's very easy as business owners, particularly, to get wrapped up very closely in what you're doing and have this kind of small wall around you and just trying to grow your business or do your thing. Yeah. But sometimes it's really important, isn't it, just to stop, breathe, look around, who's there, because you just never know. You never know who's sitting next to you or sitting across from you or walking past.
Stop breathing is okay, but don't do it too long.
No, stop and breathe, not stop breathing. No, I don't advise you to do that. Guy Strybosch, this has been absolutely wonderful. I've loved our conversation. I've loved what we've talked about today. Thank you so much for being my guest on my purple sofa, remotely, obviously. Next time you're in London, you can come and actually sit on it. Maybe we should do that. Yeah, it's very small.
We have Uplift Live next March.
Yes. Maybe a little trip to London. Maybe what we should do, well, I could take the purple sofa to Birmingham, I guess. Or we could all come back to London and all hang out here in my office and we'll have a great big LinkedIn Live with everybody on the sofa. Now that would be fun.
How far is Birmingham, London? How long does it take?
So it takes me door to door. So it took me door to door to Uplift. I have to go to King's Cross, up to Birmingham. I think it was just less than 2 hours on the train.
Well, our flight was a bit shorter.
So it's not far. We'll see.
Okay.
Oh, I look forward to this. I'm going to start planning it now. Guy, thank you so much. And really lovely to have you on the live land. So thank you very much.
Take care.
Hang on. Let's play us out. Let's play us out. Okay, ready?